डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Namaskar. I, Dr. Khushbu welcomes you all at Chaitanya Studio, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Students, today we are going to discuss the unit number 3, primary and secondary data of MBA course. The code is MBA02C204. The subject is research methodology. Students, in the previous lecture, we have discussed the introduction part, then the meaning of the data and what is data collection. In the second lecture, we have discussed some of the techniques of data collection and data types. Today we will continue the same. So first we will discuss what are the major techniques of observation. Students, here there are total 3 parts of this techniques. So first one is naturalistic observation. So what is the meaning of naturalistic observation? When people's behavior is observed in their natural settings, means we can say it is a type of field research in which this observation is carried out in the real surroundings of the people who are being observed. Means the basic method says that here the people are observed, what they are doing, how they are doing. So if the researcher ensures that his presence is not felt by the people who are being observed, it is termed as disguised naturalistic observation. So in naturalistic observation, there are 2 parts, disguised naturalistic observation and undisguised. So this method has ethical concern as people are being observed without their knowledge and permission. So hence it is mandated that their identity is kept anonymous. In same way, the disguised employment, the undisguised naturalistic observation. Here the participants, before observing, they are made aware that they are going to observe their behavior and their activities and likewise. So here the people's, based on the people's behavior and observation, the conclusions are made. So that's why it is called naturalistic observation. Here the participants' observation means we can say this is an extension of the naturalistic observation in which the researchers goes one step ahead and becomes a participants in the group of situation being studied. So some groups are made and based on that they are observed, and for observing how shoppers shop and interact with the staff or of the store, how the means researchers may pose as a shopper and appear to be shopping with other shoppers while constantly observing, means they are constantly observing their behaviors and based on that they are reached to some conclusions. Now what is the meaning of controlled observation? So here the researchers creates a setting wherein the participants are invited and their behaviors are observed. So here means participants, or we can say the observer who are going to observe. So they made the people aware before observing, and the researcher here creates a setting wherein participants, or we can say the observers who are invited and their behaviors are observed. Thus it is structured form of observation as the settings are more structured than the natural situation. So we can say that yes, it is a structured form. Why? Because already some things are decided, pre-decided. Now the advantages and disadvantages. In same way, the advantages are there and disadvantages also there. So first one, direct access to research phenomenon. So here we can reach to the conclusion directly. Here the high level of flexibility, the study can be altered in real time. Means here we can make people aware, like now they are being observed. So we can say we have very much flexibility in many ways. So we can change the situation, we can change the place, we can alter the real time, many things. In same way, some disadvantages are there, like it needs thoroughly skilled observers. Objective may be compared as each observer shall interpret and comment some occurrence. It requires more time, and presence of the observer may also influence the behavior of the people. Now what is the meaning of secondary data? So it is a data which was collected by someone other than the researcher, means for some other purpose, but it is being utilized by the researchers for some different purpose, we can say. For example, census data collected by the government that is used by a marketer to assess the market potential in a city, that we know very well. like a search for a secondary data is also termed as desk research. So why? Because this data is easily available and it saves precious time and our efforts in collecting the data. But we can say secondary data may not exist for all type of research requirement. Like for some primary data is required, for some secondary data is required. So what can we do in such situation? In such situation, secondary data is also often more reliable than primary data. So in this case, the authenticity and reliability of the source play a crucial role in the judgment of using secondary data. In, we can say, online question and answer sites, Quora or Wikipedia cannot be cited as a reliable secondary source, as the content is, we can say, we cannot directly trust upon that. Now the secondary data collection methods. So secondary data collection methods can be classified on the basis of where the data exists currently, like within the organization or outside of it, internal or external. Next, understand internal secondary data collection. So it is a logical to use data which is readily available to you or your organization rather than to go or seek it from outside. So we can say, what is the meaning of internal? Which is available internally. So which is near to our place, near to our city, or near to where we are working, or some way. So every department within an organization will have its own records that represents a potential source of valuable data. So we can say the take an example, like every company has different departments. So all the departments have their own data. So it is easy to reach to the conclusion. Why? Because internal secondary data is a data which exists within the organization. So collecting the data from the department, it is becoming easy. For example, a study on employee enrichment might want to begin with the educational background of the employees. We can say, rather than collecting the information on the first hand, it is better to assess the recruitment and selection records lying in the company. So why it is required? Because this data would have been availed of during each employee selection, because whenever the recruitment selection process is going on, we have all the data of the applicants who have applied for the job. So such data would not require any further processing and would be easily, or we can say, readily available. However, certain internal secondary data might require some additional processing. So it's again depend on information to information and data to data. Some sources of internal secondary data, we can say financial statements, sales figures, previous marketing research studies, payroll, absenteeism details, and so on. Now, what is the meaning of external secondary data collection? So external data collection involves collecting secondary data that are generated by an entity other than the researcher's organization. So any entity, we can say, it can be it can be a person or the group of people. They can take the research. They can collect the data. So these techniques include, we can say, published material, computerized database, and syndicate services. So now students, we are going to discuss what is published material, what is computerized database, and what is syndicate services. Now first understand what is published material. So the meaning of published material is, it is the secondary data which is usually gathered from the published, or we can say, printed sources. So by example, we will understand this. So census data collected by the government is used by a marketer to assess the market potential in a city, that we have discussed right now. So a search for a secondary data is also termed as desk research, as the data is easily available and it saves precious time and effort in our data collection. In same way, secondary data collection method, so it includes the it is classified on the basis of where the data exists currently, like within the organization or outside, like internal or external. So by example, we will understand this. So in internal secondary data collection, it is logical to use the data which is readily available to you or your organization rather than to go and seek it from outside. So in same way, it is easy to get the data from the internal way. For example, a study on employee enrich might want to begin with the educational background of the employees. So rather than collecting the information from first hands, again, that we have discussed just at this point before, if we have some recruitment selection record, so on that bit, based on that data, we can get the details of the potential of the employees. External secondary data collection method. It involves collecting secondary data that are generated by an entity other than researchers organization. Means this techniques includes published material, computerized database and syndicate services. So students, in this lecture we have discussed the different techniques of observation. Now some of the techniques which is remaining that we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.